Step 3 of creating a personnel item is going to the multi-edit content screen. The multi-edit content option is where most of the person's information is actually stored. So we're just going to fill out whatever fields we need for this person. The first field is the image. So if you have a photo of the person, use the image editor to create the personnel image type. And then you can use the file chooser to choose the personnel image for that person. The image description would just be that person's name, so you can probably paste that in there if you still have it copied. The person's first name has a field. There's a separate field for the middle name. Some people like to display their middle initial or their full middle name. The last name field is what the field that gets used for alphabetizing in the different snippets. So make sure you put whatever you want, however you want it to be alphabetized, use that name here. The email address is where you would put that person's actual email address. If for some reason you wanted to use an alternate email address or not include an email address, for example, for student employees, if this is not the person's actual email address or it's blank, you are required to put their actual user ID here in the user ID field. This user ID field or the email address field is how these personnel items are linked to and used in the couple of snippets available for the faculty staff items. Phone number, please note that the phone number format used at Michigan Tech is just with hyphens. So 906-487-2840. You can also put in someone's cell phone number. Their location would be their office location, so administration building G10 or whatever their office location is. The safe place checkbox for show logo can be checked for any employee that has been through the university's safe place training program, and it would display the safe place logo on their personnel item. The next field is the titles field. A person can have up to 3 titles. So the titles show up right here under the person's name. Again, you can have up to 3 titles. In some cases, if someone has more than 3 titles, you may have to combine more than one title into a field. The next fields that we start looking at, some of them are for full page only. So please note, if you're not making a full page personnel listing, do not use those fields. So our first full page only field is the education. So again, if we look back at our example, we can see the education shows up here under their titles. And there's 4 fields. Typically, the highest degree is listed first, working your way down to the lower degrees. The format should be the degree type, comma, followed by the major or program name, and another comma, and then finally the university or college that that degree was received from. So you can see that here. The next 2 sections are our faculty buttons. And again, these are only on the full page listing. The faculty buttons would show up right here on the full page. Typically, this is used for the download CV buttons, but you can have those buttons with any text you choose linking to any page or file that you choose. So by default, the first button says download CV and the second button says expanded CV. To change that, just put your desired text into this field here. With the first field in each of these sections, you would use the file chooser to choose the PDF file or other page within the CMS that you want that button to link to. Next, we have the quote. The quote is an optional item that people can put on their personnel items. And what it does, let's find an example here. It would show up just like this underneath their photo. So they can have a little quote there with this citation on it. Then we have the connect links. The connect links are those social media icons that you saw here that allow that individual person to connect with others using their personal social media accounts. So this would be intended for this specific person's social media accounts, not for the departmental accounts. Then the last set of fields here are also on the full page only. And what these fields do is create these sliders at the bottom of the page. You can use these sections for anything that you want, not necessarily even related to the default title that we have here, although there are a couple of specific fields that are used in certain snippets. In the faculty staff listing multiple snippet, when you use the publications layout, that layout will pull in whatever content is in this first recent publications field. But here in these fields, you can change this title and you can add in the content. And we have one called defaults to recent funding, presentations, research projects, teaching experience, and the teaching statement. The teaching statement is another special field here that's used in the teaching statement layout for the faculty staff content multiple, or excuse me, listing multiple option. Remember to save your changes at the top, and that is the end of step 3.